My guest today is Abdullah A Rehman, the founder and chief executive of Anti-Pollution Drive Foundation. Welcome to the show, Abdullah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I'm very happy to be here and meet all of you. And I'm already very inspired with your setup
Thank you. Thank you
and
so
what
much.
you guys are doing.
All right.
So it's going to be, I think I'll be asking a lot of questions
Sure.
than you to be.
Go ahead. I don't mind.
No, but what do you, what's your, what do you look at, where are you guys going with this? Or you just very casually?
We're doing it very casually at the moment.
Okay.
We're not entirely sure what direction this is going.
Okay.
I think I'll let this podcast shape me rather than me trying to shape the podcast.
Yeah. That's the, I think all entrepreneurs, that's how they look at it, look at things. One step at a time and then improve it, then improvise it.
True.
Great, yeah.
I'm sure that must have happened even in your life.
Absolutely, yeah. Everything that I have been with, of course, apart from the our core establishments, things that I have done, yes, it's been one step at a time. And everything was new, everything was undecided. And as you take it, what comes forward, change that into your opportunity.
Okay.
That's what I looked at things.
So what initiated your interest in fighting against pollution?
It's if you look at it, APD, I would say, is a child that was born out of a failed system. Failed system, I would say, is just not how we all say government, failed governance or failed elected representatives or failed politicians or whatever. This is a failed system in total. Like the government has failed, the elected representatives have failed, people have failed, we have failed most importantly. So I think all of this put together has, you see every other problems, every other drives or initiatives or movements, it's always a repercussion of an ineffective decision by ineffective people. So similarly, I think APD also has come out of such a scenario where I have seen so many failed aspects in terms of, we started off with pollution, of course, and we have ventured into many other aspects. But pollution was our first vertical. So that way, I think, yes, because of the failed system, failed people, failed government, failed elected representatives, we started.
Right.
There are many people you see in Mangalore. If you look at it, there are so many people who have started so many different kind of things. You just took Tausif's name also. He also is, I think, a product of a failed system where people have neglected the animals. Then we have Jeet, who's also a product of someone who has who is a product of a failed people who have, you see, there are a lot of greenery which has been chopped around for the infrastructure purposes, and he is trying to compensate it right now. Then we have a lot of people. We have Vidya Dhankar, we have Shashidhar Shetty, we have Gerard Towers. There are so many people. All of them, what are they? Who are they? They are all people, products of something what has failed drastically around us. So I think similarly, of course, I'm not aligning myself to the honor of these people, but still, even APD, there has been an interest of something which has drastically failed.
Yeah, you spoke of a lot of individuals who take initiative into their own hands because of a system failure.
Correct.
But sometimes we see that even these individuals can fall in trouble. For example, the recent Disha Ravi case, if you have noticed, she did what she thought was right. And that landed her in jail.
Right.
Do you think it's a tough time for environmentalists right now?
Absolutely. It has been always a tough time for environmentalists. Our country, of course, predominantly, because environment is a backseat problem. It's chalo. Everything is a backseat problem in the current system, I would say. But environment definitely is somewhere far behind. Because our issues, our concerns, about the people, it's completely different right now. They don't care about many things, what is supposed to be cared about. So environment is environment, climate change, global warming, and trickling it down to what solid waste management.
Okay.
Such a huge problem, but who's talking about it? Very few people are here making noises here, there, whatever they can in their capacity, but it's still not getting resolved. Then there is air pollution, there is sanitation, which is a big problem in our country.
Yeah, no toilets anywhere.
Yeah, toilets. I mean, Mangalore has been, Dakshina Kannada has been declared ODF, Open Defecation Free District, by the central government, I think a year or two ago. But despite that, we have conducted studies and research and found that there are almost 4,000 plus houses without any toilets. Where are these people going then? And how can they even declare it as ODF? So that's also a problem. I mean, like you see, and it's a failure from the government. But what are the people doing here? I mean, we also have responsibilities to voice it out, raise up the levels of noise regarding these problems. But no one cares, because our focus is somewhere else.
I mean, our focus is mostly on making money, quarterly increases.
Absolutely. See, like you see, for instance, like there are so many people who do care.
Okay.
But right now the scenario is such, if they care, you are in big trouble if you care. I mean, that's also being, it's a big thing which is coming up right now around the country. Like there are so many people behind the bars right now, which is very, very saddening, because without making noise, without these people, or by subduing their voices, it's going to have an adverse effect into the entire society, entire people. Their into their issues will all get. It is going to.
There will be no dissent. There will be no progress.
Yeah, there will be no. It's going to be a one-track system.
Yes.
I mean, and that's not what our constitution says.
Yes.
I mean, we have there is provisions in terms of what we can do, what we can speak up, what we can do. I mean, it's our right. There are people
Of course.
who are doing it, but right now they're all being
silenced. Yeah, that's sad.
Yeah.
Anyways, you spoke about solid waste management. Where do you think we are lacking in solid waste management?
We're lacking everywhere with solid waste management, if you see. First of all, you and me, are we segregating our waste? Let's forget the government, forget the system, forget the corporation, forget the Ministry of Environment, all of them. What are we guys doing? Are we even segregating our waste? No, we are not. I mean, we are mixing it, and then we are discussing the problem as well. Main thing is, if at all we have to solve this problem, we have to start segregating, because the problem is in our hands, the solution in our hands. They can't do anything much about it. Even if you impose penalty, even if you make the laws more stricter, which already is strict. I mean, we already have framed rules and regulations according to the MSW Acts, everything, but it's not.
Do you think we should make it mandatory to keep 2 separate dustbins, one for solid and one for wet waste?
It is already mandatory by the government. You have to see the MSW Act, I think 2016, where it says the corporation can impose fine on households who do not segregate their waste.
Okay, but
there are like in the past 1 year, I think they have started sending some notices here and there to the buildings, a lot of residential apartments, to start segregating their waste. But how much? We have 350 tons of problem in Mangalore every day generated. Like 350 tons of waste. Out of how much is segregated? Hardly anything is segregated.
Even after segregation, do you think there's a possibility for us to easily recycle that solid waste?
See, I mean, if the segregation is implemented, then the other level solutions will come up by itself.
Okay.
Because you see, for one instance, now segregation has been mandated from the past 2 years in Mangalore. Okay, now there are at certain household levels or apartments, people have started segregating their waste. So at that time, what happens? There are people who know solutions to it. You can start composting. There will be people who come up with, I will solve your wet waste problem. So you're creating opportunity there as well. So let's segregate it first. Then there is a solution which will come up. Now, the dry will have to go somewhere. Definitely, once it's segregated, the dry is valuable. Your plastic is valuable anyways. No one is going to throw it randomly. Of course, all the waste pickers and all, they're making money out of it. They can make money out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're also into real estate and property development. Can you give us a property developer's perspective on investing more in sustainable engineering and green architecture?
Yes, I mean, I wouldn't know the technicalities, but I have been studying about it of lately, and I'm also a part of the Green Building Council. And see, the problem right now in the country is it's an expensive approach. It's still not cost
Effective. Yeah.
effective
Okay.
for people, for consumers. So, for instance, in Bangalore, there is a builder which does quite a few buildings in green. As in, like when you talk about green, like in it cannot be 100% green, I would say, right now, because you're still using a lot of cement, you're using paint, you're using all of them. The process of all of these items are not eco-friendly, right? To create these things. So it cannot be 100% green. Where you can make it eco-friendly is um, by having a sewage treatment plant. That's one way. Another one is, of course, having solar panels for at least your common areas can be run by solar panels. Your whatever wastage is produced from that can be treated and can be reused into the commodes water.
Yes.
So that can be, again, you're saving a lot of water. Like it's happening in certain levels here and there around the country, if you see. And the other way you can also do is, of course, green coverage. Because now when you want to construct an apartment, what happens? When you procure a land, there'll be a lot of trees. You chop those trees. No matter what. You remember how Mangalore was 15 years ago.
Yeah, it was like a forest on the outskirts.
Yeah, it was. I mean, right now it is like you can see patches. When you go on top of one building and just look into the skyline of Mangalore, you can see now patches. I still remember those times when there was one of these buildings I used to, an old building. At that time, when I used to get on top and look into the Mangalore city, it's green. It's beautiful. But again, that's a cost of development, progress, opportunities, jobs. Everything is there. It is again a balanced thing. We don't have a sustainable plan yet. I don't think we have a sustainable plan.
So, do you think there's a lack of urban planning initiatives by our corporation?
100% yes. Because we need, when we travel around the world, wherever we go to whichever country, you see the system, how they have in terms of city planning. In city planning, it's done in various levels. Like you have top-notch urban planners. It's just not architects and engineers who are handling it. You have people who have mastered in urban planning. I fail to see that in India though. I mean, maybe there is. I would have missed out, but wherever I've been, I have seen that we have a very, what do you call, generic set of people who are planning the city.
Okay.
Because you see, I mean, it proves right in a sense, because we make roads, we make pavements, and very soon we dig them up again. So there is no vision in it at all in the first place. If there was a vision in it, then we would not be having this cabling, rewiring, breaking those interlocks, breaking those concrete roads are being broken sometimes. So I think it would come better in an urban planner's perspective, wherein they can see things better and further. And
Yeah, they keep digging it again and again. It's also a waste of taxpayers' money.
Of course. This is what I don't know. Maybe they are doing it for this so they can fill up their pockets again.
Yes.
Or what it is.
Maybe the contractor is the corporator's cousin.
Yeah, of course. I mean, see, that is a part of everyone. It's something which we all know. They know we know it. We know they know it. I mean, it's all it's an understanding. Yeah, it's an
open secret.
Open secret, or maybe a closed one. I don't know how it is, but it is there. So that's something which is there, which we have all accepted, I think, in certain ways, because that's the modus operandi of our country, and people have just accepted it.
And those who don't accept it will have to face the consequences.
Yeah, they'll have to wait. No, they'll have to wait. They have to wait for so many weeks or months for their work to get done. Yeah, it's ultimately it's the rich and powerful people's country. Rather, it's not for the majority of us. It's for people who know how to throw money. There's people who know how to pull strings. It's about for people who know how to, do these palm greasing and all those kind of stuff. Common man is going to always suffer. They've always suffered in the past. I think right now also they are suffering and don't know where the future is going.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think giant corporations are also the main reason behind deforestation and environmental degradation?
Of course, I would say corporations, how much ever they try to show that they are funding so many environmental or climate change or any kind of public health initiatives, they are definitely creating a lot of issues. I mean, there is a lot of local issues also, which I have heard, and a friend of mine is fighting for it. But again, it's not come out in the light yet, I guess. Local also, there are corporations that are doing these stuff. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't have the evidences to speak about it, but I know it is happening. I know where it is happening. It's just about time where I have to see and then I can speak about it. If I speak about it right now, I don't know if it's going to be the right information or not. But it is happening. Giant corporations are doing it all over the world. They're doing it in our country as well as I think they're doing it in Mangalore as well.
Okay. I think one example that I can think of is in Goa. There's this Save Molem movement where Adani is trying to build a double track of the railway system because so that he can have his trains sent to northern Karnataka. And people in Goa are protesting against this.
Right. Which is it's an ongoing process.
It was ongoing a few months ago, but now it's the protests have reduced. Again, how long can they protest? I mean, they have their own businesses to take care of, and if they voice out too much,
sedition.
there will be exactly. So it's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
So, anyways,
no, but there has been example of people winning. I think the bridge in Bangalore, which was supposed to be connecting to the airport, where they had to cut down a few hundred trees. There was a huge protest. This was when I think 4 years ago. They're creating a bridge. Have you heard of it? Do you remember?
No.
This is I think when it was the Congress government at that time. There was this proposal to take a bridge through towards the airport, where they had to cut down 800 trees or something. But they stalled. They stalled the entire project. That's the people do. I mean, people do stand up. But like you said, for how long can they do it? If the corporation or the government is hell bent on, I'm not going to, like what's happening with the farmers right now. Like there's no relief whatsoever. The whole thing took headlines. The entire country woke up. But again, they know it will not be for too long because we all have our own bread and butters to run behind. We all have our own things going, which we have to go eventually. The maximum now we can do is make a story or make on Instagram or Facebook. That's about it. Yeah. Nobody can be consistent as what they are who is facing the trouble. So fizzles out.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
So how has your journey been so far with the anti-pollution drive?
Journey has been quite I don't know how to put it across, but it has been very for me it was an eye-opening journey wherein I got to learn a lot of issues what's happening in a country in terms of environment, public health, sanitation, solid waste management, air pollution, and then ocean pollution, which we are doing right now. And we are also working on something where we are empowering the waste pickers. So journey is ongoing. Still, I think a lot more to go.
Yeah,
it's like it's not going to be complete in my lifetime, anyways.
It's also an awareness issue. We have to raise awareness amongst people who are living in the beach, because when I go walking sometimes in let's say in Bengre beach, there's so much plastic that you may find on the beach, and how long can we raise awareness? It
See, I mean, awareness has to be raised in one side. People who are getting aware, what about them? They're listening from one ear and taking it up from the other one, which is so annoying. It's quite pissing off to see. Like recently we had a Netravati, we had a project called Namma Netravati Namma Jawabdari. In that, if you look at the sides of Netravati, the banks, the bridge, we found almost 200 tons of waste over there. So we started up this cleanup thing over there, pulling it out from the depth of the bridge. We pulled out a lot. We pulled out, I think, 30-40 tons, and it took us what, month and a half, 2 months. But now the next day when we go there, we are seeing again people throwing waste over there itself. Someone from our team stayed there for one whole month straight. Every morning he was standing there during the peak hours where they throw waste, holding a placard and saying, "Please don't litter." Literally, no one would have missed him. Yet, after he left from there, the waste is back over there. So it's a mindset. It's a mindset of people. I said, which is the biggest failure, biggest part of the system which has failed. As in, government, I wouldn't say is the bigger failure. People are the bigger failure in this whole system.
we are the biggest failure.
Yeah,
Okay.
because if the people wanted it, the government will implement it. It's for them. It's a political thing then. If you ask for it, they will give it to you. Only the cat that cries get the milk. So if you ask for it, then they will look at it as a political leverage and they will give it to you.
Okay.
So, that's...
Yeah, that's the thing. And being from a coastal town, I don't think enough people are even aware of the term climate change.
Yeah.
Because if climate change has serious repercussions in the coming decades, we might see a part of our town underwater.
Right.
And yet nobody seems to talk about it.
Yeah.
How do you think we can raise awareness of this issue?
I don't know. When people... The only thing we have seen in history and even now in the past is when the problem hits your face is when you realize that the problem was there. Until then, no one wakes up. Unfortunately, how much awareness is not like something what recently being built up. Of course, it has compounded in various ways, but awareness always been there. People know the repercussions of, faltering the nature. But it's only when it hits, then people change their ways.
Yeah.
But again, consistent effort has to be done in all levels. Awareness has to be done for people, for governments, for officials, for the entire system. Like I told, the main thing, when we started off, we had 4 problems which we identified, which we had to do, which we had to work around. The first and most important problem we saw is uninformed citizens. People don't know what. They don't know what is... they didn't even know what waste segregation was until very recently, I would say. And they don't know how to solve it, how to handle it. Basic GK for lifestyle is something which people weren't aware of. The another problem is, second one is what? Lackadaisical officials, where they say, okay, this problem, we'll see it tomorrow, we'll see it day after, we'll see it another day. Because they already have hundreds of files in the tables and they will only pick up those files which is beneficial for them or, which is required, which is important for the people in terms of maybe political mileages. Or else it is never taken up. The third problem what we saw was data. There's no data. When you have problems in the country, you don't have adequate and enough, sufficient data for it. Without knowing how much is a problem, you can never work to solve the problem. So we need to build data around every problem that we have and keep highlighting those problems in numbers, in proper statistics and data, which is what we also did. We, in order to, when we touched pollution as our first topic, One thing we wanted to know is what are the pollution levels of Mangalore. We never knew it. No one knows it. I mean, we don't have data in Mangalore, and the government had never installed a AQ MI. I mean, air quality monitoring instrument in Mangalore. I mean, every other city has, but Mangalore never had. So we put a lot of appeal to the government to install one in Mangalore, and then because of the delay, we ourselves initiated a data mining campaign wherein we called Shuddhagali, wherein we initiated in 8 locations of Mangalore. We identified the pollutant levels. We engaged and we outsourced these instruments from people, and we found out the levels of PM 2.5, PM 10, SOx, NOx, lead. We got those data,
So
and then
how bad is it?
no, see, we were all in the borderline.
Okay.
We were all in the borderline. I mean, we have, like you said, we are in a coastal area, so we have that advantage. Like, it's not solving the problem; it's only taking it out from the city and going into the sea, maybe. But we were in the borderline for sure. This is again 3 years ago. But then we wanted an AQI. We submitted, and ultimately, around 2 years ago, they installed an AQI in one of the most cleanest locations of Mangalore. It's in Circuit House. If they had put it at least in town hall or maybe some other, like, where there's bustling traffic, then it would have made more sense. But anyways, we have one. Nevertheless, something is better than nothing. And but again, these readings over there, what we get is also, I don't know if it's the right levels for Mangalore in general. So data, yeah. So data is one problem, and then research. I mean, strategies. I mean, there are no right strategies to solve such problems. Like we don't have sufficient strategies to handle the problem. Like, it is always handled, or in a very haphazard way.
Just pushed away.
Yeah, pushed away. In some way or the other, like, if there is a problem, it's handled, I would say, in the wrong way. So it will never solve the problem. It'll feel like it's being solved.
Just a quick fix, like
Yeah,
a jugaad.
a jugaad. It's a jugaad only. Like, okay, fine. People are asking, let me just make some noise over here and done. Then the problem will come up again after some time. So you don't have the right dynamic strategies to handle these problems. So these 4 things are what we had looked into, and we worked around it in order to try helping solve the problem.
Now, let's say the air pollution is bad.
Yeah.
What can we do about it if it's that bad?
No, see, what we have to do is, first of all, identify the source, work around it. Like, for instance, now in Karnataka, 50 to 60% of the air pollution comes from vehicles. And what kind of vehicles? Now we need to understand what kind of vehicles are polluting. Another study which I had read about says that of the 60%, 10% of those, it's the entire pollution of 60% of vehicles come from 10% of vehicles that belch out this smoke emitting vehicles. You used to see them, right? A couple of years ago, when you drive around city, there used to be black smoke,
yes.
That white smoke. Those were the polluting factors. So we had a campaign called Stop Smoky Vehicles also at that time. So now when you have identified the problem, how do you solve it? Is, again, there are ways to do it. The RTO has to do it. The traffic department has to do it. So we have pushed around it. Then industry has to be put in industrial zone. No mixing it. I think right now Mangalore is, Yeyad is already a residential zone right now. So I don't know if they have plans to push it out, like how Baikambadi has a separate industrial zone, right? So that's another way to look at it. And so
what kind of policies do you think our government can bring in order to make our country more green?
I think they don't have to bring in any new policies. We have wonderful policies already in place. Please implement them. That's all. Like, for instance, I'll tell you now, when I was looking at when I was researching about the smoke emitting vehicles, and I found out a law in Motor Vehicles Act and then CMRV, there is Central Motor Vehicles Rule, section 116, 117, and then section 190 of MBA. In that, it clearly mentions, like, you find any vehicle that's polluting or it's causing harm to any human or all these kind of stuff, they have the powers, they have the authority to impound the vehicle. They have the authority to cancel the registration of the vehicle. They have the authority to even confiscate the vehicle. So they have the laws are beautifully framed already. We have to just implement it. After finding out this law, I was quite amazed. I was like, wow, it's a beautiful law. I mean, that's the solution to this problem. So let's find out how many times they have implemented this. I shot an RTI to all the cities in Mangalore, in India, like Karnataka, Kerala, Maharashtra, Gujarat, Punjab, Kerala, a lot of cities. I got a reply within the 30 days stipulated times. And just can you guess how many times they would have implemented it? This law. I'll tell you, I got a reply from Gujarat. It's 0. From Mumbai, 0. From Bangalore, 0. Mangalore, 0. Kerala, entire Kerala, 0. The only place that had implemented this law was in Delhi, and that too only twice. So they're not even implementing the law, yeah. So what's the point of having such beautiful laws framed in their books if you can't implement them? So you don't have to bring in anything new. You just have to implement what is already there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think last year's COVID-19 lockdown had an impact on you or your organization or on APD?
Impact, I would say, in terms of environment, yes, of course. There has been a huge impact. But we focused rather on the problems that came out of COVID because of the pandemic. There were a lot of issues that came up for the daily wage workers, for our waste pickers who've been helping the environment so much. They all were in trouble, of course, because they're daily wages worker, and their bread and butter is every day, and they don't have anything. So we supported them in terms of we supported all of them for almost 3 months. We did that. So of course there has been an impact on environment, but we could, again, it's a pandemic. It's a act of God. We can't do anything about it.
Beyond our control.
Yeah, it was beyond our control. I mean, it's beyond anyone's control in the entire world. So what we could have done is things like this, like support the people who are highly affected. So yeah, that's what we did.
You also meet a lot of politicians, journalists, and policymakers, I'm sure.
Yeah.
How do you convey your message of anti-pollution to them? And do you at times get frustrated by their behavior?
Frustrated, of course. There has been so many incidents that it's so clear in my mind where I have been last to like, get. I mean, literally like that, people have reacted to me, like politicians of high standing. But there also have been people who have sat down and spoken to me about about the drive, who have at least given 2 good words. I mean, at least they're good at giving good words, right? So that much they have done. But yeah, it has been when it came to quite a few people, it has been a task.
Okay.
It has been a task to even explain to them what it is about. I mean, I remember like going into the offices of the bureaucrats, and they were like, well, this is all nothing. This is not a problem. This is all this. What you see is because of they just give very lame reasons to dissuade you from pursuing it. Because I started off with the smoke emitting vehicles, and I was going very aggressive on that. I used to meet a lot of people, a lot of departmental guys, a lot of politician people, and try to put the message across to them. I mean, there were some people who I would say felt threatened out of it. So they had tried dissuading me and demotivating me from doing it. But again, yeah, it's a part and parcel of this task, this job. You can't stop to clear all the thorns from your path. Then you'll not get anywhere. You might as well just walk on them, get hurt a bit, and at least you'll go forward.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
so that's how.
Yeah, sometimes life is too bitter. Sometimes it's sweet.
Yeah.
And you also
It's
tried.
bittersweet.
It's bittersweet. Speaking of sweets,
Yeah.
a lesser known fact about
Yeah.
Abdullah is
Yeah.
he's also interested in baklavas.
Right. Middle Eastern and Turkish sweets.
Exactly.
Yeah.
How come you also invested in something a confectionery like
Yeah.
baklava in India?
So basically, I love traveling. I make it a point of going to some country or a few countries every year. So one of the trip was I made in 2017 was to Turkey,
Mm.
and I visited this baklava place called Hafiz Mustafa, and it's the most popular baklava place in the world. I got really inspired of their setup, the way they presented their things, and the way how tourists were loving their stuff, and it felt like and already I'm more Indian than Indian. I want those kind of stuff in India as well. So that's how the whole thing, the idea came in my mind. Like I need something like this in India as well, and it's something a new product, and that baklava is not very easily available in India. And you have to pay a huge price for it if you when you want to relish it. So initially, I tried doing some import and all stuff, but it was super expensive. Didn't work out. I dropped the plan. Then I had spoken about this plan to a few friends, and then almost 8 9 months later, a friend of mine, my childhood friend, he called me up and told me there is a Syrian chef who's running a baklava, confectionery production unit in Bangalore, and he's looking to sell it. So I immediately took the next flight, went to Bangalore, saw the entire unit set up. I was like, let's do it. So both of us came together. We procured it from him, rebranded it, made it look a little more fancier than what it was. And the same team in the back end, they're running the show. And yeah, we have developed it into a B2C. Initially, it was only B2B.
Okay.
So we got into the B2C segment. We have put up now, we are in Bangalore 5 locations, and Mangalore we have one
Okay.
standalone store. So it's been 1.5 years. 2019 March is when we started.
Okay.
Then 1 year of pandemic hit. All the plans, all the expansion plans, everything took a back seat. We had to cut down our expenses, and it's an expensive product, right?
Yes.
So it's a luxurious product, and people are now very, very calculative when they're spending. So we just like running the show at the moment, cutting cost. It was just picking up. It's picking up back. It's come back. There was a drop of 60-70% in business
Okay.
because of the pandemic, but now it's almost back. It's not
Okay.
completely back, but it's almost back.
Okay.
Yeah,
Nice. So, lastly,
yeah.
what kind of changes do you think, as an individual, you or I can do to fight climate change or to fight pollution?
Informed decisions. Yeah, you have to take informed decisions now. From the most basic things, I would say, like, you stop using the single-use items. If you can do that, if I can do that, if everyone can do that, there's going to be a huge change. And if that's not also possible, at least segregate your waste and throw it. Forget what's happening outside. Of course, when we throw it, these guys pick it up and they mix it. That happens as well. The complaints come when we work in this. We have got those complaints. I know what's the point of segregating it while these guys who pick it up, they mix it and they take it. But again, that's another problem to be addressed, which will be addressed eventually. Let us play our role and not depend on, like, I will do it only if you do it. No, that's not the way I think. It's not like, we'll make money only if you're making money. I'm going to make money anyways. I'm going to go behind my job and career anyways. So similarly, in these kind of decisions and all, we have to do it as part and parcels of our lives.
Okay. So, it's a matter of self-responsibility.
Self-responsibility, all in all.
All right.
Yeah.
Anyways, thank you so much for
Thank
being with
you.
us. I've learned a lot today.
Thank you so much.
I hope good things happen to you
Yes.
and your organization.
Yes, hopefully.
All right.
Thank you so much. Thanks to all of you.